clear nahi. I mean, it is still there on the.
Yeah, we are live, sir. Hello and good evening to everybody. Welcome to Strive Dialogues. Today we are going to discuss about the Israel-Hamas conflict update. Basically, today is the 52nd day of the Israel-Hamas conflict and the fourth day of the truce reached between Israel and Hamas through some U.S. pressure and now famous go-between country called Qatar, where the suit-clad terrorists of Hamas reside. The return of 39 women and teenagers is being seen by many in the Islamic world as a victory over Israel. Even Israel seems to be in favor of extending the truce, as 10 more hostages of Israel would be freed. Is that a sign of truce round the corner, or as Netanyahu says, saying in the same breath that this war will be fought to the finish of Hamas? Accordingly, if Israel decides to launch its operations towards South Gaza after the truce, implications are going to the truce implications are going to be huge. What will be the impact of a continued conflict by Israel on fate of Palestinians living or moving towards South Gaza, as also the population living in the West Bank? The war, if extended, would also have serious ramifications in the Middle East and the global geopolitics. To discuss these issues, we are being joined by Major General Harsh Kakar. A very good evening to you, sir, and welcome to the
Thank
show.
you, Vishant.
Sir, I leave the floor open to you. Basically, since it's an update, so we will look at the major happenings and thereafter what is the implication of the possibilities which may occur. It could be that the war may go on, or there may be a longer truce as people are trying to do. Over to you, sir.
See, as far as this truce is concerned, let us look at what was agreed when the truce was cleared
Yes,
and what is the implications of those aspects. Firstly, 50 hostages are to be released by Hamas, mainly women and children. ठीक है. Israel would free 150, which means three times the amount.
absolutely.
अगर हम अगर हम पीछे की तरफ देखेंगे, so in one of the earlier cases, जब Hamas had an Israeli soldier for 5 years,
Oh, that
they
was
got
huge.
over 1,000 prisoners released.
Yeah, that was huge.
Huge. But here, at the moment, they're only talking of women and children. They're not talking of men. They're not talking of soldiers.
Yes,
वो बाद में आना है. This is one part. Second,
right,
Red Cross will be given access to balance hostages और उनको मेडिसिन भी रेड क्रॉस ही देगा.
correct.
Though Israel does not trust the Red Cross.
बिल्कुल,
Third, humanitarian aid was to come. Agreement था 300 trucks daily. Actual figure बहुत कम है.
बिल्कुल सर.
There are still 40 hostages as per Qatar's today's announcement. There are still 40 hostages जिसको trace नहीं किया गया है. They are possibly not with Hamas, they are with other terrorist group या civilians from Gaza जिन्होंने क्रॉस करके अटैक किया था.
बिल्कुल.
This is a hint that you have to let the truce continue अगर आपको इनका रिलीज चाहिए. Now, Netanyahu's statement on 10 hostages, हमास ने अभी तक कुछ आंसर नहीं दिया. Netanyahu still says कि हमारा intention is to ultimately destroy Hamas, release our hostages. Has that been achieved? Is it possible? It can only happen अगर truce रहेगा. The interesting part, अगर आप ये truce देखो या cease fire देखो या as Qatar calls it a humanitarian pause देखो,
Yes.
both sides have claimed victory.
हाँ,
Israel
that's
Defense Forces chief ने कहा है it is their military pressure which created conditions. दूसरी
बिल्कुल.
तरफ अगर हमास को देखो, हमास is very clear that every time it gets its way through, it wanted the ceasefire. It's agreeing to exchange hostages for three times the amount. Hamas is claiming victory. But at the same time, there is a lot of local population pressure. इसराइल के अंदर the families of those जो kidnap हुए थे,
हम्म.
they have been protesting non-stop. In the main square of Tel Aviv, उन्होंने एक टेबल लगा के they placed 240 chairs. each marking a hostage.
Correct.
So when the pause was proposed by Qatar, actually the Israeli government के पास choices नहीं थे. The pressure was building and they had to give priority for release of hostages. Now, as far as Hamas is concerned, Hamas was losing grip in Gaza.
Yeah.
Reports आ रहे थे कि Hamas policemen who initially wanted to claim priority rights को जो थोड़ा बहुत aid आ रहा था इजिप्ट से, they were
Hmm.
beaten.
Correct.
Anti-Hamas protests have taken off in Gaza. Acha, now you look at the impact of this. Before we go further,
Mm-hmm.
Israeli troops अभी गाजा में ही रहेंगे.
रहेंगे
If they
और
remain
विल
in Gaza, you need additional troops to ensure their lines, to secure their lines of communication.
रहेंगे.
अगर ये truce prolong होगा, then Israel will be drawn into management of Gaza, जो वो कहते हैं हमें नहीं चाहिए.
Correct.
Continued military service of reservists. Look at the
Yeah.
impact on the Israeli economy. The Israeli defense budget is almost the Israeli budget deficit is now 400%.
Mm-hmm.
And almost about 500,000 dual citizens have fled Israel.
Yeah.
50,000 foreign workers have gone. Tourism has come to zero. The Israeli currency is dropping.
Yes.
Over 1 million Israelis are staying in shelters, slowing economic activities. This is the disadvantage. अब इसका उल्टा भी है. Militarily, Israeli forces are now strengthening their position. They are gaining information on Hamas deployments. They're
Correct.
improving their inputs on tunnels. और उनके जो इंटेलिजेंस सोर्सेज है गाजा में, through them they are obtaining information on the location of remaining hostages. Israel is now preparing its troops for the next phase of operations. So, moment it lifts, the truce lifts, Israel will be able to launch immediate operations. Disadvantage? हर एक्शन का इजराइल का is under observation of Hamas.
Yeah.
Now take it to the Hamas side. The truce agreement says Israel can only operate drones from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Baki time is available to Hamas to regroup, rearm and readjust. अगर operations recommence होंगे, Hamas hopes to be better prepared. Israel says 500 tunnels destroyed and thousands of Hamas troops killed. But Hamas is still a fighting force.
Yep.
So, this is one aspect. दूसरा, will the truce, अगर ये extend होगा, will it extend to Hezbollah? अगर होगा तो अच्छा है, अगर नहीं हुआ then. So, अभी जो 4 दिन का exchange of hostages हुआ है, the pressure is going to build on Israel now to continue with the pause. If you look
Correct.
at Biden's statement today, आज ही Biden has said that I hope the pause continues.
Yeah. He's come
European
up with
Union has made the same statement. They are the main supporters of Israel.
correct.
So is the Arab states. दूसरी बात, one has to look at it. It has been almost 40 days of 48, 49 days of fighting.
52nd day, in fact, today.
52nd day, 4 days
Yeah.
of truce, so 48 days of fighting.
Correct.
Now, after this, you are exchanging hostages.
Hmm.
Thousands of life have been lost.
Yeah.
Destruction, dekh lo. So when the war began, both sides had their own aims, और दोनों ने achieve नहीं किया. Israel refused to bow down and accept Hamas ka victory. Hamas has not become redundant. Netanyahu ka political future is over. Whereas in Gaza, Hamas is facing an almost a revolt. And look at what happened around the world. Hamas hoped कि Muslim world से support आएगा. Nothing happened. The Arab Islamic Summit displayed कि कितना, what are the breakages or the gaps in the regional environment.
Correct.
साइमल्टेनियसली जो टेल अवीव एक्सपेक्टेड ग्लोबल सपोर्ट दैट इज नाउ रिसीडिंग. ये रीसेंट ब्रिक्स का समरी देख लो.
Yeah,
Ultimately, if you look at it, there is also a reason for both sides to continue fighting. If Netanyahu is able to bring Hamas to its knees, he can recreate his political career.
yeah,
If Hamas succeeds in holding out, Hamas will regain its control in the World Bank, on the in the Arab region, especially in Gaza. But in the long term, agar aap dekho, the fact is that now with the way things are, there is nobody to take responsibility for Gaza. Israel will still survive. Hamas rahe, Hamas jaye. Sorry, Netanyahu rahe, Netanyahu jaye. Israel will survive. What about Gaza? Who's going to handle Gaza? So there are
yeah.
these so many questions that are rising up now, that those who have negotiated the truce, the main powers behind this, unless they sit together and look at the future, how are you going to expect the region to go through?
या सो बेसिकली जो आपने पिक्चर पेंट की है वो ऐसी है कि न न निगलते बन रहा न उगलते बन रहा फॉर बोथ साइड्स इट इज
Both
इट इज
sides.
it is for the both sides, and so
Correct.
that is a very very critical kind of a situation where the 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 future could go any direction,
In any
it
direction.
yeah, so it could continue, it could get into a long conflict, slow, long drawn conflict with
हाँ
people
हाँ.
moving, out, लोगों के refugee problems और बढ़ जाएंगे because अभी तो सारे साउथ गाजा में तकरीबन तकरीबन जाके बैठ गए हैं, बट इफ साउथ गाजा में
No,
अटैक
there are
शुरू
already people coming back to North Gaza. There are already people returning as per today's reports. Now,
या
what do you
बट
do with them? आप कितने को निकालोगे? They're in
वही तो
millions.
वही तो बहुत सबसे बड़ी वो है, अगर साउथ गाजा में अटैक शुरू कर दिया और नॉर्थ गाजा में कंट्रोल जो है अभी फिलहाल तो इजराइल का है, तो
हाँ.
अगर ये दोनों चीजें हो जाती हैं तो तब तो प्रॉब्लम्स रिफ्यूजीज की बहुत ही ज्यादा हो जाएगी, इजराइल के तो है ही हैं प्रॉब्लम्स, बट गाजान्स विल हैव अ टेरिबल टाइम इन द फ्यूचर. Do you think the international pressure is going to now play over Israel to come to a negotiated settlement? जो आप बात कर रहे थे कि the powers that are behind, obviously you're referring to the US, which is the main entity which can actually swing the balance either way. So क्या लगता है कि US कुछ करेगा या इलेक्शन की वजह से वो डिली डैली करता रहेगा, जब तक इलेक्शन नहीं हो जाता यूएस में तब तक वो इसको खींचेगा या बोलेगा कि धीरे-धीरे करो?
Nay, if you look at Biden's statement today, they will want the pause to continue.
हुँ, हुँ।
Now, Israel को कतार का statement is also pushing Israel to continue with the pause. कह रहा है 40 हमको locate नहीं किए गए.
हुँ,
They said if you start launching operations, it's impossible to locate them.
ओके.
Which now means कि इजराइल के ऊपर प्रेशर बढ़ रहा है. You accept the pause.
दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग.
So the
सो
pressure is building on Israel. The point is, Hamas is not willing now to further escalate because it is already facing the brunt. It's faced the
यस,
brunt.
दैट्स करेक्ट. सीवियर क्राइसिस.
It is now so now the point is, because agar if Hamas restarts the war, Gazans are going to go anti-Hamas. As it is, the anti-Hamas is going to build.
करेक्ट.
The
बट बट
the
बट
the
यहाँ पर एक
problem that's coming in is Netanyahu has got to secure his own future. His own future is now gone.
एक्चुअली इट वेंट ऑफ द डे द अटैक टूक
Oh
प्लेस.
yes.
नाउ इट इज गेटिंग मोर एंड मोर सील्ड टुवर्ड्स दैट डायरेक्शन.
Now, but then the point is, the longer you keep the pause, the longer your troops stay in Gaza, the longer your reservists are in. You see the impact on the economy of Israel.
या ऑफ कोर्स दैट वुड बी देयर. बट
So they have to look at a solution. Now, the point is, Hamas has not been eradicated. It cannot be eradicated. It's an idea.
नो, no terrorist group can be fully eradicated. That has been proven over and over again. Al
Correct.
Qaeda still remains in some form. ISIS still remains in some form. In fact, in some form, it is more dangerous in some places. Yeah. So I don't think you can finish it off totally. Yeah,
No,
you can reduce its impact in Gaza, but then
correct.
that important question which you only raised is what after Hamas? Suppose Hamas is totally defined, और उसके जो suit clad जो लीडर्स हैं जो कतार में बैठे हुए हैं,
They will not
वो
come.
दे विल नॉट कम, बट गाजा
So
में फिर क्या हो?
now the point is Palestinian Authority का कोई होल्ड नहीं है गाजा में. Who's going to come? Who's going to handle Gaza?
Do you think कि Mahmoud Abbas may have an opportunity now here to shift his focus also on to, because पहले तो पूरा पैलेस्टीनियन अथॉरिटी का ही राज
हाँ,
था, तो
but then you
अगर क्या
see,
उसको रिवाइव कर सकते हैं क्या?
I don't know because मेरे को doubt लग रहा है. Firstly, there is a large gap between the two sides.
Yeah, that of course
Secondly,
has always
if,
been there.
secondly, Mohammed Abbas sending his people in to regain control of Gaza, Hamas the representation will remain.
Mhm.
You cannot eradicate the whole of Hamas. And the moment Hamas came in, उन्होंने पहला काम किया, उन्होंने जितने पैलेस्टीनियन अथॉरिटी के लोग थे उनको मार दिया. So is Hamas going to let the Palestinian Authority come back?
Yeah,
Neither
देखिए
Egypt, nor Jordan, nor Qatar, nor any other group, any other country wants to get involved with Gaza.
yeah.
So
So
somebody will have to take responsibility. Israel
you are
doesn't want to.
you are hinting at a UN peacekeeping force kind of a thing
Possibly,
managing Hamas? Hamas?
possibly a UN a peacekeeping force led by the Arab world.
Yeah, I mean, the regional countries around there under the
That
banner
is
of
it.
UN, under the banner
Under
of
the
UN.
banner of UN to
Yeah.
possibly do the reconstruction while they work on a two-state solution. Now the point is, even the Arabs don't want a two-state solution. To some extent, the major reason being, अगर आप two-state solution ढूंढो with Palestine and with Gaza and West Bank so split, is that an
Mhm.
answer?
Yeah, I mean it's like East Pakistan, West Pakistan kind of a
A
configuration. तो
scenario. How long will it remain?
वो तो डेड हो जाएगा from the word go.
That is
Even
the point.
इवन जब कंबाइंड इलेक्शंस हुए थे 2006 में,
हाँ,
Hamas had overall won the elections actually,
correct.
including West Bank. But
हाँ, हाँ,
then they realized that they can't do this way. So Hamas was given an independent authority and West Bank में अलग था. हालांकि टाइटुलर हेड अभी भी महमूद अब्बास है of the
अभी
both
है.
of both sides. यहाँ का
But
प्राइम मिनिस्टर है वहाँ का.
he has never gone to Gaza. He
Do you
cannot go
think
to Gaza after Hamas has come in.
do you think the government which was actually elected 2006 में, और जिसका प्राइम मिनिस्टर अभी भी है वहां पे हमास में, वो लोग इसको कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं? आई मीन इन अ मैनर दैट दे टेक ओवर ह्यूमैनिटेरियन असिस्टेंस वगैरह उसका कंट्रोल करना विद द हेल्प ऑफ some international or regional peacekeeping force, let's say what is happening in say अफ्रीका, इकोमॉग वगैरह जो करते हैं वहां इकोवास वगैरह.
See, the point is, Israel is not going to accept any form of of government which has got a Hamas representative.
Mhm.
The moment it accepts that,
Okay.
it has accepted that Hamas is a political force in which it absolutely denies. अब Hamas is declared a terrorist organization by the US. UN
Mhm.
में declare नहीं हुआ है because Russia and China have not let it go through.
Yeah.
So now, if the US has declared it a terrorist group, can the US let a Hamas-led government come into power?
So that leads me to
I
my
mean,
next question.
if you look at it, Taliban was also declared a terrorist group, but the Taliban government is in power in Afghanistan. But
Correct.
that may possibly not be the logic here because Israel will not accept it also.
Yeah. So my next question is, if suppose we take up this possibility कि शायद कोई UN peacekeeping or peacemaking, I would say initially it will be a peacemaking force and then it will become a peacekeeping force once the
Bhushan,
situation.
before you go there,
Mhm.
who is going to sign the peace agreement from Gaza?
That is what I'm saying.
Is Hamas authorized to sign?
I was asking that question. I was asking that question. I said
Is
for that
Hamas
to happen,
authorized to sign?
for that to happen, who will move the proposal? Who will be
That
the
is it.
negotiating party from both sides? For this, I have a precedence. For example, in the case of Liberia, where I
Ah,
had gone, there was no ruling authority there. Everybody was on his own. So what had happened was that there was a regional grouping which signed, like it was led by Nigeria. Nigeria was leading that. Nigeria and the UN representative जो peacekeeping department है, उन्होंने मिल करके एक एग्रीमेंट साइन किया था टू सेंड अ पीस कीपिंग फोर्स आफ्टर टेकिंग अ ट्रूस बिटवीन द वेरियस वॉरिंग पार्टीज. So the solution possibly is Hamas and Israel go into a longer truce, then a regional force negotiates with the UN, etc., comes up with a peace keeping force, which may have representatives of even China to assuage the Palestinians. Because beach mein you must have heard Xi Jinping saying that he is for a negotiated solution to the Hamas problem. He was trying to grandstanding कर रहा था वो कि वो भी interested in solving the problem of Israel Hamas conflict. So if both sides say Russia, China, everybody is included in this, maybe the Security Council may pass this resolution, it may not get vetoed, and we may have a UN kind of a mechanism coming into this. This is a possibility. I'm just saying there is no other way out, it seems to me, because both are now loggerheads with each other.
The point is, ultimately, it will have to be a UN led force because nobody else can take responsibility for Gaza now,
Yeah.
especially with the reconstruction which is going to take now. Abhi, today, somewhere I was seeing on social media, the leader of Hamas, the suited, booted leader of Hamas sitting in Qatar, has
I
asked for has asked for global aid to help
yes.
reconstruct Gaza. The
Yeah.
responses that he got from the
Hmm.
Arab world were
Hmm.
amazing
Uh-huh.
because he was being told you were the one responsible for this. Why do you want others to pay for it?
Now, I mean, you should have thought about it before you intervened into
Correct.
the on the 7th of
So,
October.
so you have created the situation, and now you
Yeah,
want the rest of them to shell out for your reconstruction.
correct.
But then the
Uh,
point is, ab dekho, this is something which happens after every decade plus,
mhm.
unless you remove the root cause,
Yeah.
which is
So,
almost impossible to remove because it's a mindset. The children
correct.
today in
Hmm.
Gaza have undergone the sort of brainwashing by Hamas.
Yeah.
Today they've got a mindset. Can you change the mindset? It is something what we are seeing happening in our neighborhood.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
So,
So unless you handle that mindset, how long are you going? Every time Israel does an operation like this, 10 years later, it rebounds. And this is a regular feature.
correct.
How
Yeah,
do
you
we
have
change?
2008 intifadas took place, continuous two of them. Then 2021 it started simmering again, and now 2023 it is almost like a full-fledged war. यहाँ पर मेरे को एक अपॉर्चुनिटी दिखती है जो आपने ये जो सोल्यूशन बताया. व्हाई आई एम dwelling on this is because we are also looking at future. फ्यूचर में
Huh,
अगर आपस में लड़ाई करते रहेंगे ये तो फिर तो entire region will remain unstable. Overall
correct.
geopolitics of the world will go topsy turvy. लोग साइड्स लेने लग जाएंगे. अगेन इट विल बी लाइक रशिया यूक्रेन. थिंग्स में गो आउट ऑफ कंट्रोल. हमास का जो सिचुएशन अभी है, पैलेस्टीन एंड इजराइल की जो सिचुएशन है, इसमें मैंने ये देखा है कि इंडिया की जो रेपुटेशन है इन टर्म्स ऑफ पीस कीपिंग, पीस मेकिंग, हैज बीन क्वाइट गुड. Do you, and especially India has a mission. I mean, Indian representation is there in Lebanon, etc., other countries. Do you think now this is the right time that India should make a move for a UN brokered truce from the UN angle, as we were suggesting? Because I feel that India would get a better acceptance as compared to Russia, China, or America or Israel.
See, I think sometime this week,
Mm-hmm.
the representatives of Arab states are coming to India.
Yeah,
They'd gone to China, they're now coming to India. If they're
correct.
coming to India, it is basically because they believe India can push.
That's
India
right.
Israel relations are good and we can push. But a fact to note is we will not get involved in the peacekeeping because it's going to be a very different issue.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly why I said Arab states because you're looking at the religion angle and especially the Sunni angle also. So
Okay.
largely it's going to be the Arab states involved. But to
Mm-hmm.
push through the peace deal,
Okay.
the fact is that if they are coming down to India, the
Mm-hmm.
foreign ministers are coming here to meet with Jai Shankar and possibly also meet the PM, which will invariably happen.
And I believe PM is visiting UAE
So
in a day or two.
he is visiting UAE basically for the climate summit,
I know that,
where
but
Biden was to come and Biden is out. So possibly wahan pe there may be
On the side
some
of the climate.
discussion there, some polar side there, some discussion on this conflict there.
Yeah.
But with them coming here subsequently, there is something in the cards where India is involved. Otherwise, for these four foreign ministers to land up in India is not logical.
Mm-hmm.
So there is something which is involved, and possibly because of our standing with Israel
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that we've also supported the two nation theory
Correct.
and we have supported the humanitarian pause and our demands for ceasefire, India has a very good standing in the region.
Okay.
PM Modi visited the Palestinian Authority.
Yeah.
President Pranab Mukherjee has been there.
Correct.
We have given aid to Gaza.
Yeah.
We have also been giving aid to the Palestinian Authority. So
Correct.
we have an embassy of the Palestinian Authority in Delhi.
Correct.
So in such a scenario, India has a reputation, India has a hold, India has an acceptance.
Correct.
And if these people are coming, definitely something will be on the cards. The point is, it's this none of them, except Qatar, is in a position to control Hamas
Yeah.
or Iran. Up now, how much is Hamas going to listen? Because Hamas is also now fighting for survival.
Mm-hmm.
So let us see what goes through. But possibly, apart from the PM discussing on the sidelines there, Delhi is also going to tell us as to how things are moving.
Okay, so last question, sir, before we take on the audience question, because we are now coming to our 30 minutes discussion. Last question जो मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ वो ये है कि अभी ये तो हमने एक ऑप्शन डिस्कस किया कि ट्रूस के ऊपर जोर लगेगा, राइट? दैट इज वन ऑफ द ऑप्शंस और पॉसिबिलिटीज व्हिच सीम्स टू बी मोर लॉजिकल एंड मोर रैशनल to everybody, including the Americans and the various actors. Suppose the worst case scenario when we take that the truce efforts are failing and Israel launches a operations towards South Gaza and the Gaza City. Gaza City is although taken by them, but not fully. There are pockets. That is why the Hamas guys are still having the hostages because most of them are still there with them, and they have not been able to locate them as of now. Even after the claim that 500 tunnels destroy ho gaye, etc., etc. So, what is likely to be the international alignments in that eventuality? Something like Russia Ukraine जैसा अगर हो जाता है, basically I'm referring to that.
See, the point is, as as far as the world is concerned, they all want Hamas out.
Yes.
That's number one. Whether it's the Arab Islamic world generally leaving out Iran and Qatar, all of them want Hamas out.
Mhm.
Second factor is that they don't want civilian casualties to
Yeah, that's
increase.
important. Mm.
So if you don't want civilian casualties, with Egypt and Jordan refusing to accept any refugees, there is no option but for a truce.
Mhm.
If civilian casualties increase, destruction increases, things are going to get worse. Israel के ऊपर pressure is anyway building up
Yeah.
that you have to now continue with the truce. And if the truce continues, it's a stalemate. आप ना बाहर निकल सकते हो ना आप आगे जा सकते हो
Mm-hmm.
ना आप रिकंस्ट्रक्ट कर सकते हो ना आप कुछ कर सकते हो. So the first thing they're going to push is to ensure nothing else goes on. Then they're going to look for stalemate. The worst part is, अगर आप इस सिनेरियो को देखो, one incident, whether it's a firing incident by Hamas, whether it's a firing incident by Israelis,
Mm-hmm.
one incident can re-trigger the entire conflict.
Yeah.
You have to realize Hamas is not a nation state.
Yeah, that is there. That's another
It's a
complication.
terrorist organization. That is the most complicated scenario.
Yeah.
They have no negotiators
They
except
have
Qatar.
they have that
Except Qatar.
Qatar.
But the point is,
He's
within
there.
the region, there is no negotiators.
Yeah,
There is no way you can communicate and control the situation.
that's right.
So,
So,
this war that is on
mhm,
is actually something which is now very difficult to be able to let it continue because nobody wants it to continue.
yeah,
To keep it in stalemate, is also going to be of harm. If Israel pulls back, it's Hamas victory. If Israel remains, it is impacting its own economy. So it is a very, very difficult situation. And there has to be a solution out for which the only answer is getting someone inside.
Absolutely. So therefore, this is going to be opposed tooth and nail by the international community that the war should not extend beyond this. However, हमें पता है कि हम प्लान कर सकते हैं, लेकिन भगवान जो है, God disposes what may
You
happen in the future.
look
Yeah,
at Ukraine, Russia. Last year
yeah,
they were almost on the verge of a ceasefire.
and then nothing
Today it's
happened.
been a year later, and
Yeah.
they're still continuing.
They are still continuing. So, whereas in Russia, Ukraine, at least there are two nation states, so
Two
there is a
nation states.
negotiator. There are negotiators on either side who can decide upon. Here, even that is missing. So there is a, as you said, a complicated situation.
If you look
My
at it in some form, let's compare this with Afghanistan, where the
Yeah.
US had no option. I mean, though Qatar mein negotiations chal rahe, but where were they taking you? Ultimately,
So
what did US do? It just pulled out. But it
yeah,
could
that's
pull
right.
out because Afghanistan was way away.
Hmm. That's right. In the case of
But
Israel, it
now
is not so. In the
Israel is
case of
not so.
Israel, it is not so.
So
It will be a it will be a very very harakiri for even
that
Israel.
is
I
it.
mean, Netanyahu को तो छोड़ दो. Even for Israelis, it will be a harakiri. It will
हाँ,
be a big damn show for Hamas. You know the day they pull out. I think
correct.
it will be like 71
That is
with
what.
Pakistan suffering that kind of ignominy. Anyways, we will go on to the audience questions
Okay.
with my final observation that should the war drag on like this, I think polarization further increase हो जाएगा international order में.
Yes.
और
Yes.
sides बड़ी strong हो जाएंगी and we know how the world will polarize. Basically, the West led and the China Russia led. So that kind of a polarization may take place. Things will become bad, but let's hope that doesn't happen. And the last thing which I feel, sir, the Israelis are also known for some unorthodox solutions. मुझे कहीं लगता है कि हो सकता है ट्रूस एक्सटेंड करके धीरे धीरे they may get on to the hostages wherever they are, extricate them, and then call off the war. That could be one of the
If they
solutions.
call off the war under any condition,
No, I'm saying
because
after getting the hostages out
ah, ah,
and claiming that they have the control over Hamas, and now they're leaving this area back so that the I mean, the people of Palestine can organize their administration on their own. I'm telling, becoming the big brother kind of an. That's the only way it seems that Israel would be able to get back some kind of a notion of victory. So with
इसको
that,
जब तक 240 hostages नहीं मिलेंगे,
वही बोल रहा
the
हूँ. That's what
Israeli
I'm saying.
government is under immense pressure, and
That's why I'm saying.
especially the soldiers.
Entebbe type of rescue operation for the 242 odd hostages, and then okay, get the control of Gaza and say okay, we will organize the election, get somebody to stand up and win the elections in Hamas, leave the governance to them, and then come out. Maybe that could be one of the solutions for this
Correct.
Israel as a notion of victory कि हम इज्जत से वापस आ गए, that kind of a thing. And to the audience, please like, subscribe, and share our video and this particular show. It was a very, very interesting discussion which we had with General Kakar, and we are very happy that today the crowd is hell of a lot. In fact, our channel is getting the kind of uh, popularity which we were envisaging. Good show, guys, and thank you very much for that. Let's go to the first question, and that is from yeah. Let me see what it is. Ask General Sir, how should our government of India deal with media in our country and people here who are openly supporting Hamas? They are publishing Hamas videos and speeches. They are major media houses here. Okay.
You can't do much about it because, as far
We are
as India is concerned, the moment you start curbing it, is going to come down to freedom of speech. It is going to come down to a lot. As long as the protests don't get violent, like it's happening in Europe
yeah.
or like it's happening in UK,
Even America.
even
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 America.
in US, I mean, when it gets violent, then definitely there's going to be
They,
a curb down. And in India, that is not been seen. That is one of the best things that has happened.
They killed, I think, three Palestinians in the US yesterday
in
itself.
the US
So
yesterday.
yeah, so okay, he has asked part two of the same question, and the comments below their videos on YouTube has Muslims from all over the world. Obviously, Indian Muslims also are thanking media houses for pro Hamas bold
See,
journalism. We've answered this
but
question, so
the best part of India is the government is not concerned in what it does based on comments in the media.
yeah,
The government stand has been very clear from the beginning, and that has been a very, very good neutral stand. You
yeah,
support Israel against terrorist strikes,
yeah.
you support a humanitarian
Palestine,
pause, you are
Palestine,
against civilian casualties, and you support a two state for Palestine.
Palestine, not
And that
Hamas.
is why there have been no major protests within India because India stood equally clear right from the beginning.
Yeah, and you can't avoid fringe elements doing all these kind of videos. I mean, you cannot stop anywhere. As such, India को लोग बोलते हैं internet shutdown capital. I don't know what basis they call it. If we start doing all these things, they will start telling us कि media house shutdown capital of the world. Anyway, let's go to the next question. If we look at the history, after first Intifada, Oslo
Correct.
Accord took place. After the second Intifada, Israel moved out of Gaza in 2005. What are the chances of two states coming up after this? Yeah, this is a question
See,
which is
there
put.
has been a lot of world pressure for a two-state solution because everyone says Palestinians also have a right, Israelis also have a right to live. And unless you cater for both the rights, it is impossible for there to be a solution. The point that is being there is after the Oslo Accord, the major issue is what is the power of the Palestinian state. As far as Israel is concerned, वो कहता है कि इनके पास कोई आर्मी नहीं होनी चाहिए, police should be controlled by us. Basically, they are concerned about their own security. Again, there are even within the Palestinians, there is the demand for a two-state is less.
Yeah,
The feeling is Israel ko nikalo. That cannot happen. There will be
that is,
global pressure for a two-state, and I think the pressure is increasing now. And I think this is what Hamas possibly has made the biggest achievement. It has rebuilt this pressure coming in not only from the Arab world, but also from the non Arab world, which is building pressure for a two-state solution.
of course, it can't be a solution where Gaza and West Bank are connected by a tunnel. There was a solution also. This kind of a solution was also proposed, but that would be a very, very
Hey, there
unlikely
is a
thing.
talk that if you that they may have to, trade Sinai somewhere because of the lands that Israel has taken in the West Bank. It will
Mhm.
have to give in lieu land somewhere, possibly in Sinai or something. Let's see what comes up. There's a lot of
I
discussion, a lot of options.
I was, people may not like it, but I had a different take on all this, and you all may consider it of a three-state solution with Sinai, etc. A little bit of that area coming under Gaza, with a Gaza being a separate state and West Bank being a separate state. Maybe things could be better. There are pros and cons of all this also, but one could think about it. Why not? After all,
Dekho.
no,
Options are always there.
this is something which people are totally denying it. I mean, why should, I mean, ultimately हो तो गया ना इंडिया और पाकिस्तान के बीच में. इंडिया बन गया, पाकिस्तान बन गया और बांग्लादेश बन गया. So why not this way? Why go through the pain of again separating after having a two state? That's the point which I was saying.
Let
Anyway,
us see.
so next question. The big picture is that it is a proxy war waged by Iran through Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis to abort MBS peace plan to wrest Islamic world leadership from Saudi Arabia. Palestine liberation is pretext. Comment.
See, there
Yeah,
are multiple sort of theories coming out. One is this, the second is a canal that Israel is likely to construct, the third is to offset the Indian, Middle East, Europe economic corridor. There are because Iran will be bypassed in that corridor, and
yeah.
China also will lose out. So, possibly,
That's true.
China has pushed Iran to do this. No one
Turkey.
is very clear on the way this is going to go through at the end and what exactly is the true story. But the fact is, Hamas, from what statements have come out by governments, Iran has not pushed Hamas for this. Iran was surprised that Hamas did it, which is why Iran refused to get involved in the war. Whether it did not get involved because of US pressure, kuch pata nahi, but it has
6 billion.
officially denied being involved.
Sir, 6 billion
कौन
frozen
सा?
in Qatar. 6 billion of
हाँ,
Iran
हाँ,
frozen in Qatar.
Qatar. So possibly, so that is one of the reasons. But quite likely, Hamas doesn't listen to anyone. Same as the Taliban, no matter who funded it, ultimately it is following its own policies. So these groups are more largely independent. So it is quite unlikely that they would have listened to Iran or it would have been pushed by Iran. But definitely they have been funded all the time by Iran and Qatar. In fact, Qatar is funding them more than Iran.
Okay. Let's go to the next question. Ask on a well known YouTube channel of India, followed by millions, a female Muslim journalist said Saudi MBS should have declared Khilafat now, and two Muslims accept it and start a revolution on Gaza. वैसे इतनी गाजा में revolution हो रहा है, क्या होगा गाजा का?
No, because the Arab Islamic world is very clear. None of them want Hamas. They know agar peace hona hai, Hamas has to go.
Yeah. So, but they will not probably take the route of revolution. They will
Correct.
still try to do it through negotiations and back channel wheeling and dealing.
Correct.
Shritik Kothari asked, "My biggest query is Muslims everywhere showcase support, share pain for Palestinians and Hamas too, yet hardly any can point out Gaza on a map or would agree to house these refugees."
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nobody, if you look very interestingly, wherever there are trouble spots in the world, Yemen, Libya, tell me which country in the region has accepted these refugees. They land up in Europe. So the scenario is such that nobody is willing to accept, but they all want to support.
Correct.
Pakistan is not even accepting to keep the Afghan refugees,
Yeah,
but they want to support Gaza sitting far away.
that's right. Uh, Israel war objective is destruction of Hamas, return of all hostages, demilitarize Gaza, and ensure future security of Israel. Hence, Israel will never sign truce with Hamas. Comment. This is
See, Hamas ke saath there can never be a truce because Hamas is not a representative of a nation state.
yeah.
The question is who will sign it? That is what we were discussing today. Who is going to come to the ceasefire? Ultimately, it will have to be Qatar in some form.
Yeah.
That is the
Maybe
only authority that can come in.
maybe the Mahmoud Abbas is made as a kind of a
Possible.
titular signatory for this particular thing. After
Bas,
all,
that is where.
he is the president. I mean, technically speaking, he is an authority.
Correct.
He went to China to discuss this problem, including
Haan.
Hamas. So technically,
No, but you see, and when the foreign ministers come, inka bhi hoga. The
bilkul,
Palestinian Authority representative will also be in Delhi.
absolutely, absolutely. So we go to the next question. Sritik Kothari, it's true when General Narayanan said that the point 0.5 front inside is more dangerous than the 2 front outside.
Absolutely.
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 देखो बाहर के दुश्मन को आप देख सकते हो, अंदर के दुश्मन को तो देखना भी मुश्किल होता है, वो तो आपके आपके उसमें गट्स में होता है, तो कब आपके गट्स को हिला देगा कुछ पता नहीं, इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू ट्रेस द इंटरनल एनिमी and take action against. Indian Art question one. Can we have one? Oh, okay. Indian Para Special Forces. We will look at it. Indian Art, but as of now, I can't promise you immediately. But we can have. If Israel continues this war for say 1 year, can Hamas sustain it? If no, it can be an end state. We can't compare this with
See,
Ukraine,
I
Russia
don't
war.
deny this. The point is, for 1 year, if Israel is to sustain, look at the status of its own economy, its own status. Hamas is not concerned about civilian Gazan casualties. It may not last for a year, but it will not be the end state either because Hamas is an ideology which cannot be eradicated. And yes, we're not comparing it. We're only talking about with Ukraine, Russia. We're only talking about if there's got to be a peace agreement. Russia, Ukraine are two nation states. Hamas is not. So that is where the issue comes up.
Yeah. Next question is from Jan Chaturvedi.
There
Sinai
is
part
some.
of.
I saw this. There is some part of Sinai which is with Israel, which is what people are talking about. That
Mhm.
this part of Sinai, which Israel had taken in the 67 war, is what could be
Mhm.
used as a means of exchange for the land which they've taken. I mean, I've also come across this.
Okay, okay. So that's the thing which one we can check on the ground based on a little more research. Ramnath Kausik, India should not waste manpower on peacekeeping force. It can contribute in governance, rebuilding, healthcare. Point taken, absolutely, not an issue. And in any case, we highlighted that issue that maybe India would not like to be part of the Indian part of the peacekeeping mission, but you never know how things may pan out in the future. यू सी अल्टीमेटली जो पार्टीज होती हैं दे हैव टू अग्री कि कौन कौन सी कंट्री आएंगी पीस कीपिंग के लिए, तो उसमें
Correct.
काफी काफी कुछ हो जाता है, जब नेगोशिएशंस होते हैं यूएन वगैरह में बैठ के लोग बात करते हैं, तो एट दैट पॉइंट इन टाइम विल समबडी ट्रस्ट द चाइनीज, विल समबडी ट्रस्ट द रशियन, विल समबडी ट्रस्ट द रीजनल प्लेयर्स में भी तो काफी अपोजिशन है. इजिप्ट
बहुत है.
Egypt doesn't like Palestine at all. I mean, the way they have blockaded the border, आप देखो, there is a equal amount of fencing and a tunnel on the Egyptian side. You can only cross
Egyptian,
from you can only cross
you
from the
only
Rafah.
have that one crossing, Rafah crossing. That's
Rafah
it.
crossing, Rafah crossing. तो ये काफी सारे ifs and buts हैं इसमें. We are just discussing the options. IMEC, if original alignment becomes a casualty of present conflict, India may consider tweaking the route by going to Alexandria rather than Haifa. Loss to Israel, but advantages to India, UAE, and SAE. Possible,
Saudi
है sir?
Arabia. Possible. I mean, anything is possible, but as of now, no one is. I mean, which is one of the reasons why neither Saudi Arabia nor the UAE have gone against Israel, or they've refused to take any harsh action against Israel.
And a train route can always be built via Saudi Arabia to
Oh,
Israel,
yes.
sir.
Oh,
That,
yes.
yeah. Then next question is from Colonel DK Salman. Israel-Hamas conflict has a very complex calculus as it involves two poles. That is one represented by the US and the West, and the other by Russia and China, Iran, supported by Islamic world. True, sir. Absolutely. That's what we were talking about. The world will get more and more polarized, and it will be difficult हमारे लिए to survive in that. ना हमारी strategic autonomy और खतरे में पड़ेगी. That's the actually India is being tested. What do you have to say? In the last few conflicts which are taking place, whether it is Myanmar, whether it is Ukraine, or whether it is now Israel, India's position is being tested real hard. What do you
But
have to
at
say?
the same time, if you look at the BRIC summit, India was the only one in the BRIC summit which had a different view. The BRIC
Yeah,
summit was basically aimed at criticizing Israel. It was India which came in between.
correct. So that's
And
why
the
I'm saying
fact,
the India
and the
is
fact
having a
is,
very challenging
yeah,
time.
but India has always taken a balanced stand in any of the conflicts.
Yeah,
आप म्यांमार ले लो, आप इसराइल, आप रशिया यूक्रेन ले लो, यहाँ ले लो इसराइल हमास. India has
correct.
taken a very balanced stand.
So we come to the last question and then we'll call it off, sir. Will India US stand going to continue if there would be change in their government? Oh, this is
See,
something
as far
beyond,
as
beyond.
as far as now the option in the US is between Trump and Biden.
Yeah,
Biden's stand we know. Trump has been very strongly pro-Israel. He was the first US president who shifted the US embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
yeah,
So basically, the support to Israel will continue. But he also is aware that you cannot only support Israel and not push in for war because that's not going to work. The Indian stand, even if there's a government change, all governments have followed the same approach. You are against terrorism and you are pro uh, Palestine. So you are looking at a two nation state, चाहे जो भी government हो. So that will not change.
So I'll end the discussion today with this last comment of two nation state. It's just a comment. Two state solutions has rarely worked. India, Pakistan, North South Korea, Sudan, South Sudan, Ethiopia, Eritrea. So, what are the chances of peace with a two state? We answered this question. I told that there could be a three-state solution also. Let us see what is there in the future. But as of now, यही एक solution सामने दिख रहा है. लेकिन इसका थोड़ा मॉडिफिकेशन हो सकता है डिपेंडिंग ऑन कैसे, बिकॉज सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम जो है ना, नेगोशिएटर नहीं है, जैसे कि जनरल कक्कड़ ने बोला सर. सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर अ लवली डिस्कशन, वेरी लाइवली. The audience was in large numbers, and that's a good sign for our channel and good sign for everybody who is joining our channel. Thank you. Jai Hind, sir.
Jay, thank you, Dushyant.